So we have a masterclass today, guys, for personal success objective. And as I said, I started off by saying it's a privilege to be able to introduce Ron McLucky. We've been lucky at TC Global. He's worked with us for a couple of years. Um, his biodata is huge, but can be summed up. He's a leadership consultant. He's a master action learning coach, and he helps clients achieve exceptional results through enhanced leadership, learning, and action. I mean, simple words, but for the number of lives that he's touched, I think, oh, we have lots of people today listening in. So, Ron, teach us, show us how we can all become at least leaders, if not great leaders.
Thank you, Bindu. Thank you very much for the kind words. Good evening, everybody. Namaste. It's a great pleasure and privilege to be with you. This afternoon, India time. I'm joining you from New Zealand. I had the great pleasure of working with TC Global, a number of clients in India for close on 10 years. So I have a lot of affinity for India and for all the students that we've been associated with.
Can I just interrupt for a second? I just want to say to all of you, gosh, we've got over 40 people watching us, listening to us, not watching us alone. Please do put in your questions. We will take them on board. We have a wonderful team at back end. We'll try and answer your questions there. Otherwise, Ron will give us 10 minutes at the end, and we'll come back and we'll pick up all the questions that are there. So just keep your questions coming. Not to worry. No such thing as a bad question or a silly question. All right? Sorry, Ron. Now you
go. Thank you, Bindi. The only dumb question is the one you do not ask. So thank you very much for that, and we would love to get your questions. The objective of the session that we are doing today is hopefully to inspire you with the 6 really big ideas that will make your student journey a great success. I've had the privilege of working with numerous people, corporate executive students, around the whole area of choosing careers, growing in careers, changing careers. And what we found with the 6 ideas that we're going to share with you, if you take on those, the 6 big ideas, it will make a huge difference, to your ultimate success. So before we start, we've got a poll, and the questions are: how would you best define your confidence level with respect, to your future study journey, heading up for overseas study, choosing programs, going overseas, studying, and a great career ahead. So how would you define your confidence levels? Are you super confident and excited, maybe apprehensive, and somewhere in the middle? So if you could please just share your response there. I think, Bindu, you will handle the poll results for us. Is that correct?
Yes, I will. And it's the polls are there. We're not giving you a time limit. As and when you come in, just do click on that. And, maybe in the next 5-7 minutes, we'll give you a result. Is that okay, Ron?
Okay. Could we maybe just ask people in the next minute or two just to get a feel for it?
All right.
That would
Guys,
be wonderful.
Can you
always an interesting question.
That is true.
So, Bindu, when you have a
no, I don't have anything at the moment, Ron.
Okay, let's just give it another 30 seconds or so.
No, it's not showing up. Romila, it's not showing up, Baba, in the poll. I'll come back to you, Ron.
Okay.
Actually, we have people voting, and 46% think that they are super confident about the future, around 16% think that they are apprehensive, and a good number, around 39%, are on the fence, somewhere in the middle.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Ramala, and thank you for your input. So wherever you are, and especially if you're a little bit apprehensive or somewhere in the middle, what you'll find is the big ideas that we will share with you will help you enormously in heading towards the super confident and excited phase. So let's just have a look. So what are the 6 big ideas that we're going to share with you? The first one is what I've called thinking right. And we're going to go into these in a little bit more detail. So this is really about our thinking patterns, our attitudes, our emotions, the way we're thinking about the world, the way we're thinking about our future. And this is probably the most critical component. Moving on from there, the next one that we've got there is know what you want. Again, I think it was a saying from Alice in Wonderland or somewhere. If you don't know where you're going, any old road will take you there. So we're going to pick up on that for a while. The next one is realizing that change is your friend. Change sometimes is quite tough and difficult for us, but change really is our friend if we manage it really well. The next one we're looking at is really being able to communicate with influence, to win people over, to gain credibility, to establish great relationships. The next one, the 5th big idea is network your future. What many students don't realize is that you probably have one of the most fantastic opportunities that you will ever get to build really powerful networks with all the people that you meet that will undoubtedly play a major role in your future career. And finally, just embracing the idea of lifelong learning, and especially a growth mindset. So let's go into these in a little bit more detail. Firstly, let's have a look at the thinking right. One of the really good author that I enjoy, Frank Tiger, his comment there is, your future depends on many things, but mostly on you. So let's have a look at how this works. If we were face to face, I would typically ask you to look at this diagram and ask you, what conclusions can you draw from it? So just think about that for a moment as you look at that diagram. If you look at the bottom of the diagram, there we have thinking patterns. This is the start and the foundation of our success. Our thinking patterns determine our attitudes and our feelings, our emotions. That in turn drives our actions, our behavior, the things we do, which ultimately drives our results and our success. So let's just stop at those thinking patterns for a while. If you look at the neurosciences give us tremendous understanding and insight into just how powerful our thinking patterns are in determining our ultimate results. And the interesting part is, if you are thinking in a particular way, let's say, you've faced great adversity, things aren't going well for you, and the thinking pattern is, I'm really experiencing difficulty, this is hard, I'm not succeeding. If you think that particular thought for 17 seconds or more, it automatically generates another similar thought. And so that's a downward spiral. And as the thinking patterns become more dysfunctional, more negative, what we find is that our attitudes, our feelings, our emotions, become negative. Again, that has huge impact on how we behave, on the actions we take, and results in us, quite often getting lousy results. And obviously these things are all interrelated. The flip side is true. If our thinking patterns are positive, if they're highly functional, if they're productive, if we think about, wow, I've got great opportunities here, this is going to work. I'm going to be successful. I'm enjoying this. 17 seconds of one of those thinking patterns automatically kicks in another similar one. And then it's a beautiful upwards of more and more productive, positive, functional thinking patterns, which again puts us into really good emotional space, positive attitudes. And we end up taking super actions, behaving in really positive ways that generate fantastic results. And at the end of the day, what I've indicated there, we just get into the habit quite often of either thinking, our thinking patterns being negative, and so we typically we don't end up achieving the results we want, or the flip side, thinking positively. So what I'd invite you to do is to have the personal emotional awareness to be aware of how you're feeling, of how you're thinking at any particular stage. And if you are aware of your thinking being negative, your emotions being negative, just change it. And I use a personal coach. When they introduced this to me many years back, I said, well, how do I change it? I said, just change what you're thinking about. If you're thinking negatively, think about good stuff, think about positive stuff, think happy thoughts, so to speak. So I'd invite you to really reflect on this and think about this diagram deeply. Let's move on from there. When you've got the right thinking patterns, what does this generate? What does it equal? Firstly, it creates a positive attitude. Again, the positive psychology movement, neurosciences, common sense tells us that, a positive attitude is a prerequisite for any success. It also, when we're thinking right, we tend to take a lot greater personal responsibility for everything that's around us. We also, when we're in that great mind space and positive energy, we develop great resilience. So, even if we do have setbacks, we can bounce back quickly. And resilience is one of the critical requirements for any form of lasting success. When you're thinking right, typically the actions you take, the behavior you engage in, will be solid, they'll be productive, and they will lead to success. And, for me, one of the most positive, powerful things of thinking right is we end up being massively motivated. We're really positive about the future and where we're going. And finally, with thinking right, undoubtedly gives you the greatest chance of success. So let's move on from there. This is probably one of the most powerful diagrams you'll see for a long time. So let's just talk about it. What I've said there is the event, and our response to that event determines our outcome. So, if we look at a lot of the events that happen around us, let's take the horrendous COVID pandemic. A lot of these events we have no control over. They're going to happen whether we like it or not. If we look at economic depressions, climate change, the pandemic, those are some of the negative things. Obviously, positive things happen as well. But what we can control is our response to those events. And if our responses to the events are productive, are positive, quite often we can achieve a very positive outcome. I deal with a lot of companies, manufacturing companies, and one of the companies I deal with is in the garment manufacture business. So the pandemic hit, and their business was horrendously impacted. So their response was, instead of manufacturing clothing, they ended up manufacturing personal protective equipment. And the outcome that they got was tremendously positive. And quite often we will have setbacks with our studies or, when we start our first jobs or our businesses, and things go wrong, we have setbacks. Look, you will have setbacks in your life. There is no question about it. But the manner in which you respond to that, if you can respond to it positively, the outcome will be positive. From personal experience, before I went in India, I was in New Zealand, had a very successful company. The global pandemic hit. In the space of probably 6 months, I lost $1.5 million and I had to put my company into liquidation. So what was my response to that? I could have just gone onto the unemployment benefit or something like that. But the response was, well, I really need to do something about this. So, we went to India. We set up another business there. It was successful. And the outcome was, we've had a wonderful experience in India. And, we're back on our feet. So please think about this and reflect on it. Know what you want. Again, folks, this is so critical. What we've indicated there is we know where we are now, but what are our future goals? Take a Google Maps as an example with a GPS. The first thing you've got to do, let's say you're going on a trip to wherever, you've got to put that destination in. And then what Google Maps does, it guides you there. If you go off track a little bit, it says, well, okay, now take this route or take that route. So it's exactly the same, in our lives and in our careers, in our families, that we absolutely must have a reasonably clear indication of what are our future goals. Because that is our GPS. That provides the roadmap for our action steps, to get to where we are in future. You're considering your study. What is it that you want to achieve? What sort of results are you looking for? What experiences do you want to have, when you are studying? What are your future career goals? So while these might not be in place now, I'd invite you to very, very carefully think about them and start formulating them. When you're looking at your goals, this is a very, very old diagram, but still a very powerful one. Just think your goals must be fairly specific. If you say you want to get rich, well, what does rich mean? Is it, is it 1 crore, 10 crores, 1,000 crores? It must be measurable. How will you track your progress? It must be achievable. It also must be reasonably realistic. If I said I wanted to solve world hunger, well, not really achievable and not really realistic because it's outside my sphere of influence. And it must be tangible. You need to be able to see it. So let's move on from there. Poll 2. Your most important goal for the future, if you have some goals that you're looking at, is around family, career growth, financials, that's making money, health and well-being, is around spiritual growth, is around social connects. So please take a minute or two and just answer that poll. And Rommel, as soon as you have some reasonable results to share, please do so. How's the poll going, Rommel? Sorry, Bindu, am I still with you, folks?
Yeah, hi. So
Hi.
we have a few responses to the poll, and there are more coming in now. Majority, 62.5% have most important goal is around career growth. followed by financial stability at 33%. And there are also probably
Okay.
likes of us who have health and well-being as their goal at 11%. So let's have more responses coming in, everyone. And there's family also at 8.3%.
Okay, thanks, Ramala. So as they come in, if there are a lot more that have come in, as we go along, please feel free to share them with us. So why did I ask that question? For a very simple reason, and we'll see that now. In terms of knowing what you want, it's critical to get some work and life balance. If we define work for you, for the foreseeable future being in terms of study, critical that we get some balance. So many young people, especially when you start out, and I was like that myself. The focus is on studying, getting a good degree, getting a good job, making a lot of money. Then the early stages of our career, it's much the same. What you'll find, and what I'd encourage you to do, is do not get caught in the trap of having goals that only reflect a very narrow area of life. Work and financial, typically, as we've seen from the poll, the work and financial one's career, come up very prominently, especially with young people. But don't fall into the trap of only focusing on those. Oxford University did a wonderful longitudinal study. It's been running now for, I think it's something like 90 years, where they've tracked higher level graduates for many years. And what they found for people that have really enjoyed life and been really successful, what is the most important thing? And what do all these people report? It's the quality of our relationships that determine ultimate life happiness and life success. So while obviously we need to really focus heavily on, obviously, especially with our young folk now, with the studies and work and getting financially stable. While you do that, please, I beg of you, also keep your relationship strong. Look after your health and well-being. Remain spiritual. We can get so much reassurance in life from that. And obviously the social and family one, and many others. So, the critical point here is to keep that balance, or establish some balance. Let's move on. As difficult as this may seem, change is your friend. The first point I've mentioned there is embrace change. Change is the only, it's a cliche, change is the only constant in life. And the more we embrace change, the more positive life becomes for us, the more opportunities we see, and the more successful we are. The point I've got there is never resist change. Change will, if you try and resist it, it will always win. And life will become miserable and not very successful. What we suggest in any change situation, and this comes back to your mindset, is find the positive in any situation that's changing. If your thinking patterns and your mindset are focused on finding what's good, what's functional, what's positive, you'll find that. And that will drive positive outcomes for you. The next point we've said there, enjoy the journey. Many of you folk are looking at, going overseas, studying. It's going to be a massive change for you. You are going to have challenges. All of a sudden you're going to have to fend for yourself and, cook for yourself and, do the washing and all those other things that, generally we're not accustomed to. But enjoy the journey. It's it's an amazing experience that you've headed for. I've lived in I think I've probably lived in about 6 different countries and traveled in to many more. And if you have the mindset of it's going to be fun, you're going to find the positive and enjoy it. Yeah, it's an absolutely amazing experience. Secondly, learn from change. Take time out to reflect. You reflect on the experience you're having, what you can learn from it. And the final point there is prepare for more. The days of a stable world are gone forever. We're living in such a turbulent, disrupted, fun, exciting world that we need to constantly be agile, be flexible, and you're ready to just embrace change on an ongoing basis. What you will find is that communication is probably one of the most critical skills for your future. And if we define communication very simplistically as consisting of 2 dimensions, one giving information and the other seeking information. Giving information is really about asking questions. What do you think? How do you feel about this? What are the best alternatives? That's seeking information. Giving information, obviously, is expressing your own views. What I think the best way is, my experience is, etc. So we've got another poll now. So if we think about communication behavior consisting of giving information or seeking information, let's have a look here. Poll 3. Take a moment to reflect. Where do you find yourself in most conversations? Are you seeking information, giving information, or you've never thought about it? So I'll give you a minute or two to think about that. And please respond to the poll. And Romelu, you'll just share with us information as it becomes significant. Thank you. How's the poll going, Romelu?
Yeah, hi, Ron. The poll is that we have around 54% majority talking about that they find themselves seeking information in conversations, while another 36% find themselves giving information. And there are a cool 9% who probably never thought about this. So over to you, Ron. Thank you
Okay,
for your
thank you,
response.
Romelu. Thank you very much, folks, for doing that. This, the area of communication is where you can probably make the most fundamental change. And what research shows us, and this is extensive research done globally, is that your poor communicators spend 80% of their time giving information, 20% of their time seeking information. And with your great communicators, it's the other way around. They spend 80% of their time seeking information, 20% giving. So, congratulations to the people that are with us. With 50% saying, well, they seek more information than giving. Fantastic. And I'd invite you to continue with that. The folks that are more inclined to the giving information side, I'd invite you to think very carefully about how you can actually seek more information, because this is probably the single most powerful thing you can do to build rapport and create great relationships. Let's carry on. So let's have a look at networking your future. Yeah, you have a fantastic opportunity to network with other students from all over the world. And yeah, please, 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 yeah, don't fall into the trap of, just networking, again, with Indian students that, that you meet over there. You'll miss on a fantastic opportunity. What I've indicated there with networking guidelines, and the reasons I've indicated these is I've personally experienced them, and this is what research shows. Firstly, you are the average of the 5 people you hang around with most. So choose those people very carefully. Seriously, if you hang around with 5, great aspiring entrepreneurs, people that are really serious about their success, you'll be the 6th. Yeah, if you're hanging around with a bunch of druggies, a bunch of no goods, careful, you'll be the 6th. So choose that very carefully. Networks will determine your future success. Why do I say this? Is because the people that you meet and you network with will undoubtedly have massive impact on the rest of your career. What we find in the world today is that probably 75 to 80% of top jobs around the world really never get advertised. They are filled through networks, people who know people. And I do that today still. When clients are looking for certain people, I've got networks that we use. So networks are critically important. Network deliberately and actively. And what I've said there is remember diversity. With networking deliberately, you will have fantastic opportunities to join different societies, go to different events, meet people from all sorts of wonderful and diverse backgrounds. It's a fantastic learning opportunity as well. And finally, your network ultimately determines your net worth. Think carefully about that one. So let's quickly get on to the last idea. Lifelong learning. So think about it. What kind of mindset do you have? This is again an area of huge research, the growth and the fixed mindsets. The growth mindset, it gets down to the thinking patterns. I can learn anything I want to. When I'm frustrated, I persevere. I want to challenge myself. When I fail, I learn. Tell me I try hard. If you succeed, I'm inspired. My effort and attitude determines everything. Versus the fixed mindset. I'm either good at it or I'm not. When I'm frustrated, I give up. I don't like to be challenged. When I fail, I'm no good. Tell me I'm smart. If you succeed, I feel threatened. And my abilities determine everything. So folks, again, please, please, please have the self-awareness to think of the kind of mindset that you have. And that growth mindset, along with your thinking patterns, will determine where you go. A fixed mindset is probably the biggest danger that we have. The challenge again that I would give to you is please, get out of your comfort zone. You learn nothing in your comfort zone. When you step out of your comfort zone, it is a bit scary. It is a fear zone. But once you get through that, that is when you really and truly start learning and you start growing. So at this stage, can we open up for any questions or discussion? Bindu, could I ask you to manage this section?
Of course. So the first one that's come in is a good one, which says that how to get over a feeling of negativity or just feeling less optimistic about the future, especially in today's day and age.
Okay, thanks. Great question. The solution to that is quite simple. Just change your thinking patterns. To have the self-awareness of, hey, I'm feeling down, I'm feeling depressed, etc., and then deliberately just change what you are thinking. Think about family that you love. Think about positive events. Think about exciting things, and that will snap you out of that. I personally, especially in a meditative state, meditating also helps enormously with that. Thanks, Bindu.
Yeah.
Any other questions that anyone's asked?
Well, you talked about change. Um, Change is inevitable, and I think the pandemic has reinforced the idea. What happens if you resist change? I mean, is it detrimental, or it just stays status quo?
Yeah, thanks. I think that's a brilliant question as well. What happens when we resist change? Firstly, when we resist change, it doesn't stop. And if we don't adapt to it, the magnitude of the change, because everything is changing so fast, just gets greater and greater and greater. And what we find is that because our mindset and our attitudes become increasingly negative, that state of depression, the state of dysfunction, increases almost exponentially, until people ultimately end up having severe mental breakdowns, adverse emotional states, and it can become completely dysfunctional, and it's tragic.
So we would say that resisting change, which is inevitable, is what really causes the mental agony, and it's one of the biggest contributing factors.
Absolutely, without a doubt.
Okay.
And also trying
right.
to resist change, it's also trying to deny the fact that change is happening, and it's absolutely futile.
So comes to the next one. How does one adapt to change? He also adds, also what mindset brings in success? But you're saying basically it's positive thinking, isn't it?
Well, positive thinking, yes, is an absolutely critical one. One of the most important skills, I think, is we define it broadly as emotional intelligence. Being aware of how we are feeling, being aware of the impact others are having on us, we are having on other people, and also just associating with positive, upbeat people. Getting into a great morning ritual, that consists of meditation, reading something positive, inspirational. Those are the generally acknowledged ways of actually getting out of the funk.
So the answer to how does one adapt to change, then I would just say, is just keeping an open mind, and embracing it, isn't it? Taking it as
Absolutely. Absolutely.
instead of a huge mountain. And I do want to, before we end, you said something about comfort zones. We have a lot of students, with us today, and I'd really like you to reiterate the importance of stepping out of your comfort zone, especially when you've taken on this challenge, of change, different space,
Yeah.
different, world.
I think what I'd really invite all our students to think about is answering the question, how much do you learn when you're in your comfort zone, when you're doing the same thing day in, day out? You learn absolutely nothing. And especially with the international study, we have so many fantastic opportunities of getting out of the comfort zone. Meeting students from different countries, different cultures, different nationalities. Doing things that we've never done before.
Never done, really.
That it's difficult to start with, but once you do it, it's great. It's about change. And I think it's Robin Sharma, one of the self-development gurus, a quote of his that I love. What he says, in the beginning, change is difficult. In the middle, it's really messy. At the end, it's beautiful. So yeah, maybe maybe people could could take that with them.
Yeah. So let's hope for all of you. I think that's. I haven't seen any other major questions. Some of them we've answered. So before I say thank you, I hope all of you have a beautiful change. I mean, the end result is really, really wonderful. And I used to say last year that you were brave people to, to want to have such great change in the middle of the pandemic. But now I really, really feel that these times have taught us a lot. A lot, his question of how do you adapt. Ganesh, you've already started to adapt. I mean, the world is turned on its head,
Yeah.
so to speak. So, thank you, Ron. Any
Well,
last
to
words,
all our students,
advice?
namaste, good luck, God bless. I'm sure you'll all be successful. Thank you for the opportunity of
Thank
talking
you,
with you.
thank you.